I spent all my savings to help my fiancée achieve her dream of becoming an actress, only to be betrayed. She was convinced she had the potential to become a star, but I knew it was a shady company exploiting desperate actors. I tried to warn her, but she wouldn't listen. In the end, I had to involve the police. Christina, my fiancée, saw me as the one blocking her bright future and resented me for it. Just as my startup was about to succeed, Christina cried her heart out to the media, accusing me of domestic abuse and imprisonment. This destroyed my company's financial stability. My parents and I were exposed online, and everyone came after us, both in reality and virtually. My parents, who had always been proud and dignified, couldn't handle the insults and went insane. Christina even drugged me, delivering me to that vile company as a peace offering. They forced me to watch Christina and her so-called mentor, John, until I was tortured to death by their henchmen. But that wasn't the end. Fate gave me a second chance. This time, when I faced Christina's betrayal, I decided she would pay for her ignorance. Christina smashed one of my cherished vases onto the floor, leaving the living room a mess. What scam? He's a big boss. If you can't make something of yourself, don't blame others. Don't think I can't see through you. You're just scared I'll ditch you once I'm famous. I had given everything to make Christina's acting dream come true, yet she saw me as an enemy. She'd rather believe a company promising stardom than her partner's logical advice. Even though I showed her news about the company forcing artists into unsavory deals, she dismissed it as industry slander. So, how did the discussion go? If it doesn't work out, whatever. I'm still scouting other talents. John came in right on cue, adding fuel to the fire. Don't worry, boss. I'll be right there. Christina, who was harsh with me, suddenly turned all sweet and gentle. Last time, I grabbed a knife to scare John away and ended up saving Christina from a terrible fate. But Christina resented me even more, firmly believing I ruined her career. Later, she used public opinion to accuse me of abuse and confinement. I became a pariah in society. My parents couldn't cope with the disgrace, and I was lured by Christina to the corrupt company, where I met a brutal end. Are you going to give it to me or not? Christina glared at me, ready to tear me apart. I knew she wanted the drawer key to fetch her papers for the contract. Learning from my last life's mistake, I handed her the key. Christina was surprised at first, but soon her face lit up with smug satisfaction. About time, like a toad trying to taste swan meat. I watched Christina happily take John's arm and leave, feeling indifferent. I could already foresee the outcome. The only thing uncertain was how tragic it would be for Christina. But I didn't plan to sit idly by and watch karma catch up with her. In my past life, after trying to save Christina, I stumbled upon a golden business opportunity. Yet, worried about Christina's obsessive mindset, I abandoned it for a typical job. This time, I had no concerns and wouldn't let her hold me back. I stood before a shattered mirror, adjusted my clothes, and prepared to leave. Seeing my older reflection, I couldn't help but chuckle. I totally understood why Christina wanted to be an actress. She just heard about the money and chance to be around handsome actors. But she forgot how destitute she was before meeting me, and how my looks first attracted her. If I channeled all the effort and money I invested in her into keeping up my appearance, I could still be as handsome as I used to be. With her gone, it was time for me to live for myself. Utilizing my memories from the past, I gradually built a fortune in the stock market. I was winning constantly and was even dubbed a mini stocks deity within just 2 weeks, earning millions. After caring for my parents, I indulged in high-end pampering at private clubs. Money really does wonders, and with my good genetics, my mature charm now surpasses my youthful looks. Just as I was savoring life, I received a message from Christina. Hey Toad, open your eyes wide. You said the boss was conning me? In just half a month of signing, I've gained tens of thousands of followers. Now I earn your whole month's salary in a day. Her message was full of arrogance and eagerness to prove her decision right. It was petty. I was tempted to cut ties. If not for wanting to see how far she'd fall, I wouldn't even bother replying. She couldn't imagine my current income, and anyone with a brain could see her followers were fake. Each post was flooded with bot interactions. John was just giving her a taste of success to keep her hooked. Yet, she remained clueless, living her unrealistic dream of stardom and blaming past failures on me. Time passed, and I was out when I heard a familiar voice call out, "You're really shameless, following me like that? Don't think you can fool me with just a mask." Seeing Christina's scornful look, I couldn't help but blurt out, "Are you nuts? She has no clue how valuable my time is right now. I'd have to be crazy to follow her. And as for the mask, I'm in the prime of my career. Of course, I want to avoid getting sick and delaying my progress. How dare you insult me?" Christina glared at me, a bit exasperated. But quickly, she had a smug look on her face. "See this? With my current fame, I got a sponsorship deal." She pointed her phone at me, showing some product info. I immediately recognized it as a scam investment app that's been all over the news for negative reasons. This kind of endorsement would bring lawsuits, and many celebs would avoid it like the plague, yet she's proud of it? Clueless, like she'd count money while being robbed. Back then, didn't you swear that the boss was definitely scamming me? Feeling guilty now, huh? If I hadn't seen through your schemes, my bright future would have been ruined by you. Christina went on the offensive as I stayed silent, thinking her career made it hard for me to face her. "Whatever you think." I tossed the words over my shoulder and turned away, not wanting to get tangled up. In the days that followed, I focused on my work. With the funds I had accumulated, I expanded beyond the stock market. I ventured into real estate, film, gaming, beauty, and cars. Using my past life knowledge, I always dodged risks and seized opportunities, creating my own foundation. Time magazine named me an influential person, and I even made it onto the wealthiest list. But I kept a low profile, staying out of the public eye, so Christina didn't know. Though lately, she's been messaging me more. Her messages are all about gaining followers, endorsements from John, and fan messages showing support and admiration. Watching her bask in John's fabricated world, I lost the urge to warn her. No matter how much she bragged, I didn't respond. But I totally misjudged one thing. The price Christina would pay for her ignorance would come much quicker than I thought. I underestimated John's patience. He quickly set Christina up with tons of illegal endorsements. Oblivious, Christina thought John was promoting her, clueless that John was squeezing every bit of value out of her. I also heard that the victims were organizing, planning to dox Christina. They initially believed in those scam ads because of Christina's screen persona. I knew it wouldn't be long before this fire would engulf Christina. I was at home with a mask on because movers were coming with a lot of employees, and with the flu going around, I had to be cautious. As the victims spread Christina's info, this place wasn't safe, and I didn't want to get caught up in it. Ding dong when I heard the doorbell. I figured it was the movers and opened the door right away. "At home? Huh? I thought you were too busy with some big career since you haven't replied to my messages lately." Christina took off her sunglasses, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "None of your business." I was a bit surprised and even more annoyed. If I'd known it was her ringing the bell, I wouldn't have opened the door. "I'm here to get my stuff. Okay?" Christina stood strong, giving me attitude. "Grab it and leave." I tossed out the words and headed back to the couch. "I don't want to stay in this dump any longer." Christina snorted, full of disdain. "You used to love this place." I muttered back. Christina froze, realizing she was out of line but doubled down. "Love bringing up the past. Huh? You just can't measure up to me now or in the future, can you?" Ignoring your advice to quit showbiz was the smartest move I made. Can't make money yourself, can't stand my success. Loser. It's my bad luck to have met you. I wasn't planning to argue, didn't want to get dragged into a mess, but even a saint has their breaking point. I wasn't gonna let her off for that. "Weren't you gonna grab your stuff? Show me what here is yours." I pointed around, my tone firm. "Not a single thing." Christina snapped back without thinking, but when she tried to point something out, she found she couldn't. All the familiar appliances, clothes, goods, none were bought by her. I saw her embarrassment but kept my gaze sharp. I thought Christina might leave in shame, but instead, she had the gall to justify herself. "That's because I was a stay-at-home wife. If I was making money, nothing here would be yours. Her words nearly made me laugh with frustration. If she had no shame, I didn't mind venting a bit. Does this family need you to quit your job for kids or elders? Washer, dishwasher, Roomba, we've got it all. The one manual task, cooking, you order takeout for every day. Acting like I forced you to give up your career for the family. Don't forget, you couldn't find a job you liked and offered to manage the home. And that was when we didn't need someone to completely quit for the household. I even agreed back then, thinking you'd just get some practice. How can you say what you did with a straight face? My sharp words left Christina speechless. Even so, she didn't show any sign of regret. The boss already promised a new series lead role press conference for me tomorrow. If you're truly innocent, then come be a witness. Christina, all high and mighty, threw down her words and stormed out. Clearly, this was her real reason for coming today, to flaunt her success in my face and trample on my dignity. But I had already found out there was no new series promo. The targeted victims were gearing up to surround the company for an explanation, and authorities had stepped in after a report. The company could be shut down any minute. The situation had spiraled out of control, and John planned to sacrifice her to appease the masses. Such a show, there's no way I'd miss it. The next day, the sky was filled with dark clouds, swirling mist everywhere. A stage was set at Times Square, but the extra lights did little to break the gloom. The whole square felt like the calm before a storm. Christina, waiting to go on stage in a pink dress, looked proud and confident. Her eyes glanced over, catching mine in the crowd, and she smirked slightly. I kept a blank expression, determined just to watch, to avoid getting splattered with Christina's mess later. But to my surprise, she strutted over to me. "How do you like my diamond necklace?" Christina tilted her head slightly, showing off with pride. Seeing my blank face, she waved dismissively. "Forget it, you've probably never seen such a big diamond. No point in asking you. If you hadn't let go back then, I'd never have anything like this. What I want, you can't offer anyway." Christina gave me a sideways glance, acting all superior. "The reporters are coming soon. Don't be nervous." John walked over, calming Christina with a warm smile, but his brief glance at me was filled with disdain and challenge. "If he's that hard to let go, I can set you free," John offered with faux benevolence. Obsessed Christina couldn't see the lie for what it was. Clinging to John's arm, she fawned over him like a loyal puppy. "Boss, I remember your kindness. I'd never stay with that loser. He's beneath me." She scowled at me with disdain, eager to please, as if expelling me like a watchdog. "From today on, there's nothing between us. Vanish from my world as far as possible." Christina's words drew a crowd, who began whispering among themselves. Her antics left me unfazed, refusing to be summoned or dismissed at her whim. "Do you think you have that kind of pull?" I gave her a fleeting glance, my calm tone cutting and firm. I came today to see Christina fall. No quick words would send me away. "Shut up," Christina snapped, red with rage, embarrassed publicly and fearing my stay might irk the boss. "Security, security, get this man out of here." Christina waved frantically for help. The security team, though hesitant, started my way. John signaled the disguised thugs to rough me up in the chaos. Despite sensing it all, I stood firm, unmoved. "Face the music or meet your end. Your call." Christina spat at me, sneering. I stood with folded arms, laughing coldly at Christina. "The one facing an end just might be you, not me. Right, Mr. Wu?" My sudden address left John caught off guard, his guilt and panic unmistakable. Yet Christina remained oblivious, blindly loyal. "Enough. Get out. Don't slander my boss who's elevating me." But just as Christina finished speaking, a throng wielding banners appeared angrily. "It's her. She endorsed the product that scammed us." Christina panicked, seeing every eye on her, bewildered to face me. "No, my endorsements couldn't harm people. This can't be possible. It must be a misunderstanding." Watching her denial, I remained stoic. "Some misunderstanding. The product you endorsed defrauded users. Even official media reported it." Liar. You're lying. Christina pointed at me, shaking. I go online every day. Why didn't I see anything? You'll have to ask your mentor, I suggested. Christina frowned, suddenly suspecting something. Some clever setup. Huh? You arranged the banner guys, didn't you? You never change, always dragging others down instead of bettering yourself. Believing she read the truth, John whispered. We're past the pretense. Yes, the info cocoon was crafted for you. Every social media interaction managed by the company. Christina reeled back, nearly falling. Speechless like a stammering child, she struggled for words. Reality struck hard, shaking her world. Boss, I'm with your company. Why? Still benefits the company to lose you. Easy choice, John shrugged matter-of-factly. Boss, did my fiancé force you to say this? Right? Christina looked at John, pleading desperately, still unwilling to believe it all. Enough. I don't want to waste my time arguing with you. John shot her an annoyed glance, all the warmth long gone. Christina's eyes went blank as scenes of her boss planning grand visions for her flashed vividly in her mind. No, it can't be like this. You said I was the most talented, most promising actor you'd ever met. You even promised to make me famous and win all the awards. Christina got more agitated, stepping forward to tightly grip John's hand. Enough, you stupid woman. Aren't you done yet? John yanked her hand away, irritation evident on his face, now devoid of the patience he showed when she was still useful. Thrown aside, Christina fell to the ground, like a defeated dog. Her hair was a mess, and at that moment, she saw through John. She felt shame, anger, and humiliation at how I'd warned her countless times and John's true colors shone. She frantically tried to run outside, intent on exposing John. Listen to me, I can explain. But before she could finish, John shot her a look. The goons that had blended into the crowd sprang forward, clamping a hand over her mouth. Christina's eyes widened. She looked around the crowd with pleading eyes. But the onlookers didn't care, offering no help. Even the security guards were John's employees. There was no way they'd help her. Just then, the company operations manager pointed at Christina, accusing her. She took bribes and secretly accepted endorsement deals without informing us. The company had no idea. Hearing this accusation, Christina's face went pale. She finally understood, even if she'd been naive until now, that she was being scapegoated. You ungrateful fool, after all I've done to lift you up, always telling you to watch your reputation, yet you damaged the company's name like this. John's voice boomed as he began to yell. He glanced out at the victims holding banners outside, adopting a look of deep sorrow. Everyone, I've been deceived by her too. Our company, like you, is also a victim. All the endorsement dealings were her doing. I feel deeply sorry for your trouble. John's stirring words sparked agitation among the crowd seeking answers. A group rushed forward, fists and feet landing on Christina. She scrambled away, finally ending up on her knees in front of me. I looked down at her, Christina's diamond necklace broken and her once elegant dress looking like a rag. Moments ago, she stood proud and beautiful, now more humble than a forgotten hen. Christina gazed up at me, hesitated, but when she saw the angry crowd advancing, she begged me for help. Sweetheart, I'm your fiancé. You need to help me explain. I looked at her expressionless. These words together with just being told to get lost were so ironic. Christina, you just told me earlier there are no more ties between us. Her face full of regret, Christina crawled forward, grabbing onto the corner of my clothes. I'll change. I promise I won't say things like that again. I flicked my sleeve, brushing off her hand, gripping my clothes. Now you want to change? Too late. Back when I kindly tried to warn you, didn't you accuse me of slandering your boss? When I presented evidence, didn't you say it's because I was jealous of the rich boss? If your eyes only see your boss, why bother asking me for help? Seeing my determination, Christina shook her head vehemently like a rattle. No, it's not like that. He fooled me, but I always thought about you. Also, enough. I cut her off coldly, shutting down her deceitful lies. In this life and past, I felt firsthand her rejection, disgust, disdain. Now, needing help, she claims to have thought of me. I only felt sickened. The suppressed emotions burst forth uncontrollably. During our time living together, I was your only source of income, and you said I worked too much to spend time with you. I made time for you, and you said I didn't plan surprises. I used the savings from my youth for you to fulfill dreams, a life with no regrets. I was devoted, sought to satisfy you, hoping for love and understanding in return. Yet all along, I never even earned the simplest trust. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my emotions. Looking at Christina, I wore a mocking smile. Tell me, if I had driven away your boss with a knife then, would you have eventually understood me? Yes, absolutely. I was brainwashed. My reaction was impulsive at the time. Christina nodded heavily, sincerity flooding her eyes. Yet, the more she seemed sincere, the more memories of her past mistreatment surfaced. I stared at her sharply, shaking my head slightly. It wasn't just impulse. You looked down on me at your core. Even if I had driven off your boss, you still wouldn't have given me a shred of trust. I really would. Christina shook her head weakly, mindlessly repeating her denial. But as far as I'm concerned, I've given up. Adults must pay for their actions. She's facing the consequences she brought upon herself. Even witnessing Christina's punishment, I wasn't ready to walk away. I resented Christina for her betrayal more than anything, but also the person who initiated it all. However, then a group of goons silently encircled me. Since you're not saving your Christina, please leave and stop meddling here. John looked at me coldly. His tone carried an implied threat. He was worried I might have a change of heart and defend Christina in the end, hence sending in goons to force me off the scene. No, don't leave. Christina shook her head desperately at John's words, seeing me as her last lifeline. Even your fiancé won't help you. You're just pathetic. John snapped, worried Christina's pleas might sway me. After hearing that, Christina fell silent, too embarrassed to speak. Honestly, I didn't want to get involved in her personal issues. But when it came to your company, I had to step in. I stared at John intensely, speaking in a cold tone. You don't want to do this the hard way. Do you really think you know how to fight? John's face darkened as he glared at me. His goons closed in, but I stayed calm, unfazed. Couldn't fight, but so what? Seeing my defiance, John frowned and gestured for his henchmen to forcibly remove me. But just as they were about to act, the sound of police sirens changed the atmosphere instantly. The goons turned pale, scrambling to run, only to end up back here, cornered by the cops. You can't escape this time, I said with a firm voice, looking at the terrified John. I merely lost a family that hadn't even formed yet. What about the other victims? Families torn apart, lives destroyed. John laughed manically instead of getting angry, looking at me crazily. So what? The money's been moved overseas. You can't solve anything with this many people. He pointed at the victims holding banners, challenging me. No, I can solve it, I replied, shaking my head, my voice steady. You? John sneered, disbelief written all over his face. Yes, me, I said, pulling off my mask to reveal my face. Is it really him? People whispered, recognizing me, the one on Time magazine's list, appearing in the ranks of the wealthy. Everyone, I announced, my foundation has secretly intercepted the funds moved overseas. Go to the police one by one and register. Cheers erupted all around. Are you still the person I knew? Christina looked at me in shock, like everything was a dream. The confident and charming face I had now was more captivating than when we first met. And hearing the recognition in the crowd's words made it even harder for her to believe. Everything changed when you left me, I told Christina softly. I regret it so much, she murmured, feeling she could no longer face me. She once believed she was held back by me, unaware she had been overshadowing my brilliance. Had she just been honest with me without doing anything else, the dreams John promised her would have naturally come true. But life doesn't offer any second chances. Standing there, I watched as Christina, John, and the henchmen were handcuffed and loaded into the police cars. They'd face justice. Meanwhile, I got into my Rolls-Royce, heading off to continue my legendary journey.